Not too long ago, I was linked numerous articles from German philosopher Martin Heidegger dealing with his enthusiasm and support of National Socialism. Now, I had not read these before, but one of these articles spoke to the core of why I hold the political views I do. So, firstly, you can check out the Tumblr of the guy who linked me to these articles. It's a very good Tumblr entitled The Will to Oligarchy. It's visually stimulating, entertaining, poetic, deep, philosophical, barbaric, and brutal. Everything a cultured thug should be. So let's get into this Heidegger article. And at the core of what he's speaking about here is something I tried to approach in my video. It's Star Trek or Idiocracy. Link in the description to that as well. But Heidegger, being who he was, explained it so much more profoundly. So we'll look at his words. First, to put a little context to this article. This was about, he was writing an article in support of Hitler's suggestion of Germany removing themselves from the League of Nations. And before a vote was taken, Heidegger, amongst many other supporters, put out material out there to explain why Hitler was right. And the German people voted 95% to remove themselves from the League of Nations. So it was the Reichsit, if you will. Dated November 11th, 1933. Declaration of support for Adolf Hitler and the National Socialist State. He goes on about the fundamentals of why they should remove themselves and how it's not distancing themselves from the nation, but actually preserving themselves to stand side by side with the nations. And then he gets to a core of this movement, of this idea he sees growing and what he sees positive about it. However, the will to self-responsibility is not only the basic law of the people's existence, it is also the fundamental event in the bringing about of a people's national socialist state. From this will to self-responsibility, every effort, be it humble or grand, of each social and occupational group assumes its necessary and predestined place in the social order. The labor of various groups supports and strengthens the living framework of the state. Labor reconquers for the people its rootedness. Labor places the state, as the reality of the people, into the field of action of all essential forces of human being. And here's where we really get down to it. This is exactly why I hold the political views I hold. It's this core element of it. The nation is winning back the truth of its existence. For the truth is a revelation of that which makes people confident, lucid, and strong in actions and knowledge. The genuine will to know arises from such truth. And this will to know circumscribes the right to know. And from there, finally, the limits are measured out, within which give genuine questioning and research must legitimize and prove themselves. Such is the origin of the Wissenschaft, which is constrained by the necessity of a self-responsible Volkisch existence. And the Wissenschaft is essentially the pursuit of knowledge and understanding in all fields. It's essentially this Faustian drive. Is thus the passion to educate that has been restrained by this necessity, the passion to want to know in order to make knowing, to be knowing, however, means to be master of things in clarity and to be resolved in action. We have declared our independence from the idol of thought that is without foundation and power. We see the end of the philosophy that serves such thought. We are certain that the clear hardness and the sure steady competency of unyielding, simple questioning about the essence of being are returning. For the courage, either to grow or to be destroyed in the confrontation with the being, which is the first form of courage, is the innermost motive for questioning. For courage lures one forward. Courage frees itself from what has been up till now. Courage risks the unaccustomed and the incalculable. For us, questioning is not the unconstrained play of curiosity, nor is questioning the stubborn insistence of doubt at any price. For us, questioning means exposing oneself to the sublimity of things and their laws. It means not closing oneself off to the terror of the untamed and to the confusion of darkness. To be sure, it is for the sake of this questioning that we question, and not to serve those who have grown tired of their complacent yearning for comfortable answers. We know the courage to question, to experience the abysses of existence, and to endure the abysses of existence is in itself already a higher answer than any of the all too cheap answers afforded by artificial systems of thought. And so we, to whom the preservation of our people's will to know shall in the future be entrusted, declare, the National Socialist Revolution is not merely the assumption of power as it exists presently in the state by another party, or a party grown sufficiently large in number to be able to do so. Rather, this revolution is bringing about the total transformation of our German existence. From now on, each and everything demands decision, and every deed demands responsibility. Of this we are certain. If the will to self-responsibility becomes the law that governs the coexistence of nations, then each people can and must be the master who instructs every other people in the riches and strength of all the great deeds and works of human being. The quest that is greater than the individual life, the quest to know, to understand on a societal level, is the same thing Heidegger is anticipating with the birth of a new soul in Germany. This is the Faustian will in man, to explore, to dominate, to conquer, to learn, to understand, to ask even more. Lastly, we'll finish with a little explanation of the Faustian ideal from Oswald Spengler, from Decline of the West. He says, "We have the Faustian soul, whose prime symbol is pure and limitless space, and whose body is the Western culture that blossomed forth, the love of wild nature, the mysterious compassion, the ineffable sense of forsakenness. It is all Faustian and only Faustian. Every one of us knows it. The motive returns with all its profundity in the Easter scene. A longing, pure and not to be described, drove me to wander over the woods and fields, and in the mist of abundant tears, I felt a world arise and live for me.